Hello, today for our tea we are going to have carrot and coriander soup, spiced carrot and coriander soup. For this I've got everything that you're going to need right here. We're going to run through that now. So for this you're going to need a chopping board. You're going to need one knife, chef's knife, 8-inch, very sharp. Remember the cut thing? We'll show you that again to sharpen your knife. Sharp. A ladle to put your soup out with, a peeler to peel your carrots with, a wooden spoon to do a bit of stirring. Here we've got a veg chopping board. Underneath I always put a cloth, stops the board moving, so we're not going to get slips and any accidents. Obviously teaspoon, spoon, and a few bits I'm going to run through vegetable wise here. Quite a large pan for your soup. You're going to definitely need one of these. This is your mixer to blend your soup up with. If you have a different kind of blender you can use it. These ones are just really cheap, most people do have them. So about £8 Tesco, something like that, cheap rubbish one. Here's the ingredients we're going to use. Carrots, I've already chopped some. I'll show you how to peel a carrot. We just peel it like this. Do not throw the skin away. Wash the outside of the carrot. Yeah, and what we can do is use these if you have a deep fat fryer that does at 180. If you don't, I don't want you doing them in a pan, up to me, because they'll splash, 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 because they've got water in them. So I wouldn't want to set anyone's house on fire with a pan chip pan. A 180 fryer, 180, 190-ish, you can make sure they're dry, drop them in, they'll crisp up, you can use them as a topping. These we're going to throw, I've already got some. So there's my carrot basically. I'm going to cut the end off, and then we're just going to cut, make sure all the parts are uniform, like that, or you can do a bit faster, depending on how confident you are. Put them with a rest. They've all been washed down there, and will get washed down again. Not this minute. We have onion, finely chopped there, going to run through that with you in a minute. A tablespoon of cumin. A stock cube and a half. We're using vegetable, but you can use chicken if you haven't got that. I'd recommend the kind of pasty ones rather than them oxos, the oxo ones. So yeah, definitely these are miles better. Like a Knorr stock cube. Don't really want to be using their name probably. I don't know if there's any relevance for me getting in trouble with them. I don't know. We have here coriander. Notice I've took the leaves off and I've got the stalks separate. The stalks are a lot more woody, and we can cook them, and they're hardy, so they'll add flavour. We can chop them up, add good flavour, but they won't go black. If I put the leaves in and cook them, they're going to go black, really black. It's not going to be nice. So I've also got oil, salt, pepper, one little teeny bit of garlic, because usually I would be putting celery in this, but we don't have any celery. So what can I do? Make like what's called a mirepoix, maybe onion, the carrot's already in it, and a bit of celery, adds a nice flavour. What we're going to do is add the garlic instead. So I'm going to show you about your onion and how to cut it. You know, I've got half there, half here. I've cut my onion in half. This little stalky bit, you'll have seen it probably on all sorts of programmes. Leave it on because it keeps your onion together. Peel it off, this bit. Take it, bin it, cut that little brown bit at the end. What we're going to do is just thumb on it, keep very carefully, just slice along from the brown bit. This doesn't have to be in any kind of shape or anything like that. It's just, it's going to get blended up, so it doesn't really matter. And you're just going to run through it, it'll stick to the knife, put it in your little pot at the side. And there we have carrots. And everything else done. Doesn't really matter how big they are, how small they are. Your garlic the same. If you'd have watched my video the other day, you'll see that. It doesn't really matter if it's got little bits of the skin on it. I'm not really bothered. It's all going to get blended up, and it's all got flavour in it. So we'll throw a bit of that in with the onion too. The carrots as well, make sure they're uniform, all the same size. Probably said that before, so they all cook at the same time. You don't want rock hard bits and then you're eating your soup, you get a big nodule in it. Professional soup, we would pass it through a sieve, but we ain't doing nothing professional here. We're doing it quick, easy, and to eat. I'm just using an ordinary oil again. This is just, could be sunflower, just cheap oil. Maybe two tablespoons worth. 1, 2, like that. Maybe go for 3. It doesn't really matter how much you use. Let's get it on a high heat at first, and then we're going to drop the heat. Right, wooden spoon needed for this one. We move it about how we tell the oil. If my Jonesy comes in here, we can see the movement on it. You can see lines in it when you move it. When it gets looser, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that line wave across then. That means it's not hot. We don't want to put anything in a cold pan. It's a no-no for me, absolute no-no. So at the minute there, we're not hot enough. I can even hold my hand in there, just above it like that. Don't put it in, don't want anyone burning, saying this idiot told me to put a hand in the pot. We can feel the heat from it. See how it goes. I'm checking the movement now. Not quite, we're not far off it. We're gonna get that sizzle that we need to hear every time we use oil, sauteing or pan frying. Whether it's your bacon or whatever. Now, I'm looking at the movement now. It's a lot more fluid. It's gone from an oily, thick substance to a water substance. That now is going to sizzle a bit. But let's just check. If we come in, let's just have a little, can we hear it? Oh yeah, you hear that? That's exactly what we want. Full lot goes in, garlic and onions. All in. Turn it low now, because this burner is a very powerful burner. The other ones are a lot less powerful. So I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes stirring round, like that. What you're looking for is, onions are quite bitter. Put them in like this. What you're going to do is, it's bitter now. If we just put that in, put the carrots in, throw everything in with it, it's no good. We don't want to do that. We want to soften them up and have them slightly translucent so they get a certain sweetness about them, and that's great. Now what I've got here is my tablespoon of cumin. A tablespoon. We can add that in now also, because we don't want it powdery, we want to cook it off. So the tablespoon of cumin is going to go into the oil, like so. We're going to stir that around into it, because we want that to cook off as well. We're talking about 5-6 minutes of just frying these onions. So at that, I'll leave it with you, and then in a second you can come back and I'll show you how translucent they're going to be. See you in a minute. Back again. You'll notice that if I show you in there, they're going a little bit less white than before. It's a pretty vicious onion, so it's a bit more opaque. What I'm going to do in the meantime is get my stalks of coriander. I'm going to chop them down. You don't have to be too fine. Watching your fingers, obviously, if it is a sharp knife, it's going to chop them off like so. We're going to now take this coriander on the knife like so, and we're just going to throw it into them onions. Give it a second or two to fry. You'll notice in the background there's some water in a jug. I've got about 1.2 litres of water, boiling water, boiled it from the kettle. Usually the rule is, any chef should be able to know this, is if it's cooked underground, which carrots are, then we use cold water. But the idea is we do it fast. You know, we're not going for a rosette. We're not going to pass this soup, which for me is a sin. But this is the way it is. So there we go. There's a coriander in. Just give it a few seconds to fry. I'm happy with them onions now. A little bit see-through. Some of them you've still got a bit of white in. They've been on for about 5 minutes. So I'm now going to add my carrots into the pan. All the carrots. You might be thinking, how many carrots? Well, I'm going to say, think about it in a bowl. So I would say 2 fattish carrots, seen the one I did in the first place. Probably 2 of them would do quite a decent bowl of soup per person. And if we're going to go for 8 carrots, we want a whole onion in that. And this is what this soup's based on. I'm now going to stir it all around, get it coated. And I'm going to turn my pan up full. It's going up full. So, whack on that. Everything's mixed in. Shake it about a bit. Our hot water, which is hot out the kettle. We're now going to add a bit of a sizzle Cumin. We're going to add it until we've just covered the can. So I've got a bit left over. I've not used it all. You might not have. You may have. If you look in the pan now, you will notice that everything's only just covered. So we don't want to drown them in water because we've got to pulp them up into a soup. We can reduce it down a bit, but not massively. I like a thick soup, call it a winter soup for me. But I'm going to wait for these to boil, and then I'm going to drop them down. We've got to cook them for about 15 minutes, but what we are going to do, we're going to take our chef's knife to see if they're cooked. We're going to poke it into them. Well, look, it's clearly not cooked. You know exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for these to be really, really soft, and then they'll be cooked. Then we can move on to the next stage, which is blitzing them up, boom, 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 adding our seasoning, our stock, maybe a bit of butter. We'll go a bit James Martin, chuck a bit of butter in there, throws it in everything. But he has a point, tastes great. A little bit of saturated fat, it's not going to hurt you, not too much. Maybe just a small chunk of that. And I'll see you when it's done then. And you're back. So these have now been on 20 minutes. Come over me, Jonesy. Have a look at these. I will say in the meantime, we might have had a glass of vino between us. Jonesy's got a little bit of a sly smile. I think she maybe did 2 glasses, to be fair. But so we're going to look in. We're going to have a look at the pan again. You can see the shell comes in. This is what the vino does. See, we look in the pan. We can see the water's gone down. So we're going to get our knife, and we're going to try and. That's very soft. They're soft now, which means they're about right. So I'm going to tell you the things you need for this section. We're always obligatory. You've got to have the best team in the World's Cup, Manchester City. Cup there. We need a load of spoons because my mantra is taste, 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 test, test, test. Add very slowly. You cannot take away. Remember that every time. Anyway, so we're looking at this. I'm going to take a piece out and just check how nearly done they are, or if they're done. We're going to put one on my green chopping board. It should press through. It does press through. I'm going to get that back up, back in there. So for me, that is now done. You'll notice I have some water left over from before. This is going to be very thick with that amount of water in it. Very, very thick. So we don't want it that thick. We can add water, heat it up, take it down. Salt wise, everything else wise will be going in as we go. I'm now going to turn the heat off because the carrots are done. So, I did mention this little boy before. This is our hand blender. We're going to put it in. What we're going to do with this is rest it on top and press down when it's spinning. Do not pull it out spinning. There we go. There we go. So if you can see, let's get on this side so you can see it's all got a muff. We're just going to keep and then let go. If you pull it out and it will just go everywhere. You'll be totally coated in it. So now back up to me. It's like Keith Floyd, isn't it? It's like, what's that fella he's with? So we're going round, round, round. We've now got a puree. And I'm just going melt on it. Have a look at me going melt on it, Shell. You see all them carrots and the onion and everything's all getting blended up. It's now a puree. That's going to need quite a considerable amount more water to make it into what we need. That is like very thick. So we're going to add all of that water, which is about 200. Still very, very thick. So what we're going to do is add some more water until we get it to the consistency we want. But in the meantime, Shell will have a nice close up and I'm going to turn it back up again. You'll watch what happens here. This is when a thick liquid, it's called plopping. It'll fly up in the air and probably hit Shell right in the face or something like that, which then she'll blame me for. Which probably is my fault, but hey. yeah, it's plopping everywhere. That was a I was right though, wasn't I? This is what happens. It's now all over the kitchen because I turned my back on it for a second. That's a pretty stupid thing to do. We'll add some cold water so you can keep instead of hot water, because don't drink the vino. You can see it's all over the kitchen cupboards everywhere. It's everywhere. When it's really thick, that's going to happen. You keep giving it some. So we have a look in there now. We're getting more like it. There's currently soup everywhere, so don't you worry about it. We got my spoon. Well, there's a few splashes. We're going to now add our seasoning. I want to talk to you about seasoning. Salt, which has got a bit of soup in it. What do we call high salt? That she's on the vino. It's what do we care? There. Oh, it's floating around the camera. What do we call high salt? What do we call low salt? Well, for me, low salt will be around about 2 to 3, maybe 2 grams per 100 litres, which that's popping again. It's popping on me. So we want to keep it low salt, bearing in mind that these little salt cubes are probably made up of a third salt, and your carrot itself has got natural salt in it, blah 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 blah. We have got here 1 litre at least of liquid, so we know we can very, very safely, to our health, add a big spoon of this. That's maybe, it looks a lot to you maybe, I don't know. That is 4 grams, so we've got 1 litre. So 2 litres per 100 gram would be considered low. We have just added 4 grams for 1 litre. Yeah, the vino. We've added. Shell's laughing behind the camera, so I'll try not to laugh. But there is 2 times 2, so it's 4 grams of salt in 1,000 millilitres. Or 1 litre, if you'd like to call it that. So it's really low, really low. We are now going to add, our stock cube, a vegetable stock cube. I'm going to do something to this this is vegan as it stands, vegan. There is nothing in it, animal products, anything. We're going to add the stock cube. I'm going to press it out with my fingers, that my hands are washed. I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to hide it under there and start melting in. We're going to stir that round, but there's one more thing. It's starting to pop now. It's on the heat. I'm going to add a little more water because that is too thick. So I'm going to thin it out from the kettle because I tipped a bit of the water away, being smart before. I think I knew the measures, but I didn't. So we're in there now, and this is just our base, carrot base. Here we go with the blend. She's doing this, I think she's run out of wine or something. I don't know. So we're going to zip it down again because we put a stock cube in it. Mix all that in. We keep going and going. It's now a consistency that I like. More of a winter consistency than the summer consistency. We knock all that off there. Remember your Man City cup? We put loads of spoons in it. Because what we're going to do now is our first taste. Now me and Shell, we know we've not got coronavirus. We've been stuck in this house for Jesus Christ. Seems like an eternity. And Shell's like, she's doing that. So we're going to both taste off the same soup and see what do we think it needs. We're not going to double dip though.
No, I'm taking that.
She thinks, get it enough. No, she's got coronavirus now. So, what salt content? What are you thinking? Is it good? We've got a little bit, a hint of. You need more salt. Shell's nodding. We need more salt. We got the stock. We can pick up a little bit of stock, maybe a little bit more stock. So I've got a little piece left over from the other day. I'm gonna chuck that in it. And we're going to add a little bit more salt. If you do, I'm going to add 1 gram more of salt, which is probably about that much is 1 gram. Maybe some of you people out there, some of you more cheeky people may know what a gram is, but I'm not going into that. Just giving me the right there. What are you saying there? So we're going to mix that in, the stock cube and the salt all in there. It's still on the heat. We're not popping now because it's a lot thinner. Tap that down. The place is a right mess. I've got here about half a teaspoon of sugar. It's an industry thing. The industry where they go on low on salt, they will add sugar. And believe me, it really does work. Also, if you get it too salty, sugar will pull that saltiness back. So if you added too much salt, just add half a teaspoon of that. And then what we're going to do, we're going to try it again now. Me and she's at the wine again. She's at the vino again. Who cares about professionalism? The camera may be drifting. We're going to take another spoon because we're not going to use the same spoon.
This is where I'm the chief and you're the...
Oh no, she's talking. Can you hear? Did you hear that? She's talking now. She's not shy anymore. So we've got our spoon again. We're getting there. Needs other things adding. What are you saying? What do you think? We don't put the spoon back in. She's going. Shell doesn't know what you say. So what we're going to do, we've got our carrot base there. It's got our flavours in. We can add as much, take away as much, put more sugar in. Oh, it's too salty. Bit of sugar in, takes the salt back. More salt in. Adding salt to it, seriously, when you get to a certain point, you're like, wow, that's amazing. But we don't want to add too much because it's not very healthy. I'm now going to take this little nubbin of butter, which I told you about before. I cut it cheekily and put it on the plate. James Martin style, we're going to put that in because it needs a bit of fat to make your stomach feel that it's eating something. Now, because we are mixed in well there, I'm going to finely chop some of this, put it together in a tight little bunch, watching your fingers. Look at my hand there, I've squeezed it up as much as I can. I'm now going to use that finger, everything else is behind that finger. I'm going to put my knife there. So I cannot possibly I'm going to rock it. I cannot cut anything else because it can't touch anything else. Probably best thing is not to drink a bit of wine or have a few beers before using a very, very sharp knife. And we're just going to chop it a little bit because the hand blender... Sorry? Shouldn't it what?
Show her why.
Show her the what? The why, because obviously chefs, we sometimes get distracted. So in work, we can sometimes maybe slap the end of your finger off or something like that. I remember one time we used this knife I use is a Wusthof. We're going to put that in there. It's a very, very sharp knife. And when I first got it, and I mean it's sharp, it's a very expensive knife. I was in a hotel beginning with R, ending in N, near the airport, working with them, and one of the chef de partie says to me, I was running the section, said to me, Alan, is this fryer on? I just looked to the right, I was chopping some shallots, and I just went, no mate, don't use that one, use the two at this end. I'm chopping away. Next thing I looked down, I just seen red. The end of my finger by about 4mm had gone. Keep your eyes on. It all comes back, mate, you know, keep your eyes on it. Anyway, my coriander's in there now. We're going to mix that round with the butter. We're just going to blitz it in, so you're going to notice a bit of green stain on it. Remembering, when your coriander's in this, over time, it will blacken. So you don't want to cook it too long. We're now at the end, we're going to take that off the heat. I'll tell you something about this soup. This soup can be cooled. It can be put in little containers like these. Grab one, smaller one than that. Like these kind of things. So there's a portion of soup in there. Put the lid on. Once it's cooled, once it's 100% cold, we can then throw it in the freezer. We can heat it up and you've got a soup for another day. So this would do, if you're single on your own lockdown, if you're on your own in your house, this is about 5 portions maybe. Or if you're Michelle, probably 1 portion. But that's just 2 portions. That's just like, it's now, it's fully cooked. So when we come back, we're going to be setting out for our dinner. I've got 3 different ways of making it look for you. We've got, remember I said about deep frying the carrot skins before? I've got that, I've got some croutons, and I've got some leaf. And you could do bloody oil, you could do all sorts of things, swore on it. But that's it for this one. Ready, soup is done. It's been on the heat, cooked, fully done. I like a thick consistency, so the consistency would be kind of like this. I want to add a little bit of pepper to this. You can also add it on your plate, hey, who knows. And I've got 3 different ways of dressing this carrot, slightly spiced carrot coriander soup. So here we go. Here's number 1. right in the centre, hold it low and tip it in so you don't get it up the sides. About 2 scoops in each. And again, number 2. You'll notice this is about 4 people. A tin of soup would cost, I don't know, about £1 or something, a carrot and coriander soup. Compared to this, trust me, disgusting. This is about 5 tins of soup, and it costs less than that 1 tin of soup when you do it, but irrelevant anyway. I told you about the carrots before. I put them in a bowl, bit of salt in them, toss them around. So here's one finish. Like this in the centre. Remember the croutons that we did for our Caesar salad? Well, it's on my site, so we can do that. We can add some croutons straight in the centre, like so. Maybe add another one there. And the other final finish there would be a nice bit of coriander as a whole. Each one of them, then we've got some British cold pressed rapeseed oil, which is beautiful flavour. It would go on them quite well. We just do a little swirl like that on each one. It will sink in and it will show a little bit. And there you go. Now, all 3 of them done. Lightly spiced carrot coriander soup.